Yo! Welcome into the Bare Necessities podcast. He's Jack Lomax. I'm John Prisnowski. That was ugly and all too familiar for most Bears fans yesterday. But somehow, some miraculous way, the Bears come back down 17-0 and beat the Tennessee Titans 24-17. Completely shut out the Titans in the second half and didn't score an offensive touchdown at all, and somehow still put up 24 points on the board. Welcome into the show. We're going to get to the good, the bad, the ugly from yesterday. Some mind-blowing stats I want to talk about. And then we're going to, try and look ahead to the Houston Texans this upcoming Sunday. Jack, talk to me, man. What's your feeling on this weird Victory Monday? I mean, this is a Victory Monday, so we should be celebrating. We are 1-0, but yesterday was just bizarre in every aspect.
I know you've got it somewhere. I know you've got a panic button somewhere. I'm going to need you to take that panic button. I need you to launch it against the fucking wall because it's the Chicago Bears, baby. We got to win. That's all we care about is that win column. All right. Yes, it looked absolutely wank in the first half. Like, with Chicago Bears, that was the most Chicago Bears win of all time. Anything that could have gone wrong went wrong, but I don't care. The panic button, put it away. It was Chicago Bears. It's a rookie. We've seen his talent. He's phenomenal. It was a bad day in the office for the offense. Panic button needs to be thrown against a wall.
Well, I was going to ask, should we start panicking yet? But according to you, no. So some stats from yesterday that absolutely blew my mind. I think the first one that we have to address immediately is Caleb Williams becomes the first number one overall rookie quarterback to win his debut since 2002. David Carr, ironically, who played with the Houston Texans, thought that was wild. Teams trailing by 2 or more scores at halftime who failed to score an offensive touchdown all time have been 306. So 2 victories, 306 losses. The Bears made that 3 victories yesterday with no offensive touchdowns.
Record breakers. That's positives from negatives.
And we're going to get into plenty of Caleb, but I just wanted to address this for people freaking out about Caleb Williams' debut. And obviously, it was a rough debut, and we've been hyping this team and this offense all summer, and for them to go out and essentially lay an egg, it was disappointing. Definitely disappointing. Caleb Williams had a 55.7 passer rating. It's the 11th worst debut among all quarterbacks picked first overall since 1970. There's some that actually had way worse performances than Caleb. I'm gonna give you a couple names of those performances: Terry Bradshaw, Matthew Stafford, Troy Aikman, Eli Manning, and John Elway. Between all those names, those guys have 12 combined Super Bowls. Bottom line, Caleb's going to be fine. Let's not overreact to just one game.
Don't get me wrong. He had some bad passes. He had some shockingly bad passes that were drive killers. But it was day one, week one. He were fine. It's fine. The panic button needs to be put away. He's in good company, just like you said. He's in great company with those rookie numbers. So it is what it is. It's we look at the win, we move on to game 2, and we've got a lot of good game tape to look at now. He's got game tape to look at and say, look, what worked, what didn't.
Right. So let's talk about some positives, some good that I took from yesterday. Let's start with the defense, right? Because the defense essentially won us the game, and this was one of the games that the Bears clearly needed to rely on that defensive unit. The first half yardage by Tennessee, 164 yards. Second half, 55 yards, 3 forced turnovers, and the fourth one on special teams. Newly acquired defensive end Darrell Taylor from Seattle. Guy was a monster yesterday. 8 tackles, 2 for a loss, 2 sacks, a forced fumble. The 52 was all over the field. Like I kept seeing him everywhere, right? That was crazy. TJ Edwards, 15 total tackles. And he had the fumble recovery on the strip sack by Taylor. And then Tyreek Stevenson, he got beat in the corner of the end zone on Tennessee's second second touchdown, but then came back and, did what Tyreek Stevenson does. He's a ball hawk and took that pick six back. And Will Levis, I mean, I know Caleb did not have a great day yesterday, but like Will Levis, that mayo-eating bastard, like, oh my God. Like, what's he thinking?
I think the two things that you've said there. First off, I've said this every year, and I'll stick with it. Will Levis is the biggest fraud in quarterback history that I've ever seen in my entire life. Was he one of your first round pick or a second or top of the second or something like that?
I think he was a top of the second pick out of Kentucky last year.
Trash. And he was supposed to be like a top 5 in the first round. Absolute garbage. Fraudulent behavior. Get him out of the league. Clearly can tell. And then he had the audacity to be yelling at Calvin Ridley at one point or DeAndre Hopkins. I can't remember who he was yelling at. Absolutely trash.
Well,
go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I can't imagine being, Jeffrey Simmons or like one of the Titans defensive players knowing Will Levis lost us that game yesterday.
God, he
did.
did.
That game, like Tennessee had no business losing that game. They had no business. Will Levis literally gifted the Bears the win. That's how I look at it. Like the Bears did, he literally gave them the win. That's how I took it. That's how I'm seeing it from yesterday.
The other aspect is, like you said, the Bears defense was special. It was special. You're in my fantasy football league. I'm in your fantasy football league, should I say? Your fantasy football league.
We're in a league together.
We're in a league together.
Together.
I told everyone, and I've told everyone in every other league that I'm in, Chicago Bears defense is going to be special. And I picked them, and it was the second defense that we took in fantasy football, and everyone's looking at me like, this guy's on drugs. Well, guess what? Chicago Bears defense is special. Another thing with the defense, so credit where credit's due. Titans defense, they look fantastic. That being said, did they look great because our offensive line was just in shambles, or are they actually going to be a decent defensive unit this year?
Yeah, we're going to get to the Bears offensive line woes in just a second here. Again, I mentioned it on the podcast last week. Tennessee has talent on their roster. I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily know a lot of the dudes on the team because it's the Tennessee Titans, and unfortunately, they're just one of the more irrelevant franchises in the league. They got some dudes like Jeffrey Simmons. I truly think he's like one of the most underrated players in the league that not a lot of people know about. Yeah. Devondre Sweat, the nose tackle, obviously 65. Coleman Shelton had a rough day, and we're going to get to that in a second again. But Devondre Sweat, their rookie nose tackle, he was a problem all day.
Monster.
Their defensive line got so much push off the ball yesterday, and I don't know if that's more credited to the Bears' offensive line struggling, or maybe Tennessee just has a really solid front four. But they showed out. Another guy that really showed out though for the Bears is Mr. Biles himself, Jonathan Owens. Let's stay with the positives really quick. Jonathan Owens. You want to talk about a guy lifting the whole stadium up on his shoulders at a time we needed it most. Oh my goodness. The Bears needed that bad.
It was Hardy. Hardy was the one that got the block, right?
Yes.
As well. A guy that wasn't even in contention in making the roster, and he made the 53 after
Special
that last
teams,
game.
man.
Phenomenal. And then, Mr. Biles. I'm not going to lie, I was absolutely dying when the commentator said that. When he's like, Mr. Biles, full well he's going home all salty about that. Like, I'm not Mr. Biles. You are Mr. Biles. And you will wear that with pride.
Right. Special teams in general yesterday was great. Of course, the Velus Jones fumble was not phenomenal. But other than that, Cairo Santos was 3 for 3. He had a 50-yarder. The Jonathan Owens fumble recovery. And then let's give a sneaky honorable mention for something positive. Caleb did not turn the ball over. Yeah, he got sacked twice, but no interceptions. I thought he played as clean of a game as he could have, considering how poorly his line blocked for him and how not in sync he was clearly with the receivers. He didn't turn the ball over, and that was huge. Tennessee's second-year quarterback, that guy turned the ball over twice. So, go figure.
How trash.
Let's get to the bad. Let's talk about the bad, because I left yesterday's game with with more questions and concerns than answers. And for a summer that we were just, hyping this team up, for them to come out as flat like that, I mean, that was just such a Bears game. Such a Bears game.
We had the 2024 preseason Bears. We've been spoiled by the 2024 preseason Bears, and seeing that, it was a drop.
The preseason team of the century, right? The 2024 preseason Bears. Let's start with the bad. There no offensive points whatsoever. There would have been a touchdown, but it was just such a wonky day that Keenan Allen dropped what would have been Caleb Williams' first ever NFL touchdown in the regular season. Went right through his hands. Yeah, it was kind of a wobbly ball. It wasn't like a perfect spiral or anything, but Caleb literally put it on his outside, like right where Keenan Allen really does not drop those balls. It was just that kind of a weird day. The offense had less than 150 yards total offense, like pathetic. In the running game, where the hell was the running game? Like DeAndre Swift, 10 carries, 30 yards. Khalil Herbert, 2 carries. Velus Jones had the same amount of carries as Khalil Herbert. Where was 24? That bothered me. We talked about it on the phone yesterday after the game. Like, where was Khalil Herbert? I don't understand. Again, I'm not pressing the panic button yet. I know you're not, but some people are really overreacting to this game. But again, I feel like the Bears have burned us before, and they've gone off to these slow starts. Bears teams in the past, though, would not have won that game yesterday. So,
and that's the positives from the negatives. So, I mean, let's piggyback on your negatives. Caleb Williams, his throws, pretty erratic. There was some he had a throw to a wide open Rome Odunze to get the chains moving, and he threw it down to his feet. Yeah. Impossible catch. A lot of overthrows, but the talent is still there, and they are mistakes that can be coached out. You can look at the game tape and say, all right, this is what happened. This is the why to this. Right. And this is how we move forward. So it's not like it's because our quarterback sucks. It's because he just had a bad game, as did the offense. The running game. DeAndre Swift, yes, he didn't have the stats, but where he did have occasional opportunities, especially in the fourth quarter when there was that collapse as well on the Titans team, where he did look fresh. He still looked fresh. He still looked good to go. He still had some burst. We're happy with that. But you're right. Khalil Herbert. Nobody. Do you know another name that I didn't see? In fact, I think he had 1 catch. And I know that because he's in my fantasy bloody football team. Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
Where did he disappear to?
Speaking of Cole Kmet, I saw something on Twitter in terms of overall player snaps. Gerald Everett played roughly 8 to 10 more snaps than Cole Kmet. Is Kmet just going to be optioned out of the Shane Waldron offense? Just kind of bizarre. And again, it's just one game. Game, but rookie quarterback, I feel like his blanket, is a nice, a nice tight end, and we have 2 nice tight ends. I don't know why.
Phenomenal tight ends.
I don't know why Caleb didn't use his tight ends more. Let's get to the ugly, and there was a lot of ugly from yesterday, and I think the most glaring one that we could be here for a half hour talking about is the offensive line. Coleman Shelton, number 65, looking like Cody Whitehair all over again, just getting absolutely bodied, just bullied yesterday. Mm-hmm. Not a great game from Shelton. Nate Davis also subbing in and out at right guard with Ryan Bates. I'm sorry, we have a rookie quarterback, and we don't have any type of solidified front five. We don't have a front five. We have guys subbing in and out. Is Nate Davis about to be the most expensive backup right guard in the league? That bothers me.
He should be.
That bothers me.
But he should be, because he has not earned a spot in this starting 5. He has not.
I thought Tevin Jenkins did not have his best game. He struggled a little bit. Braxton struggled. I think Darnell Wright missed a few blocks. We kept doing the halfback toss, halfback pitch, and Tennessee adjusted and adapted and shut DeAndre Swift down. And big old 58 couldn't get out to the edge fast enough because Swift is a fast dude. Bottom line, offensive line needs to be better. I don't know if Waldron needs to come in with 2 tight end sets. Okay, so for example, Mercedes Lewis is one of the better blocking tight ends in the league. Where was he yesterday? We needed him. Right. We needed all the blocking.
Yes,
we could have needed. We needed to have. So that really bothered me.
There were a few plays that I saw where it just looked like missed assignments. I know that sounds odd, but I mean, like the one play that is glaring for me was shotgun formation. Ball comes back. Caleb's looking down, and Darnell Wright didn't block his defensive end. The guy he moved in on a whatever assignment he thought he was on.
Right.
And you've got this ginormous dude just steaming right at Caleb. Caleb had to throw it out immediately. Didn't have the time. And you're looking at that going, how have you missed? How is that guy steaming at our quarterback from the right tackle position? That is unforgiving. That's how you're going to get a quarterback buckle his ACL.
I feel like within the first 20 minutes of yesterday's game, it was just such a stark reminder, too, of how different NFL preseason is to real NFL football.
Right.
It was like I was watching a different league. Like,
big time.
Guys were flying around. The speed, like, ramped up considerably. Again, I felt like I was watching a different game. A lot of, think about the defensive coordinator for the Titans. Like, think about the game that he called to confuse blitz packages and coverage schemes for Caleb. Like, Caleb wasn't seeing that in preseason. A lot of rookie quarterbacks are seeing very vanilla coverage schemes.
Yes. Yeah.
And yesterday, like, he got thrown everything at him. I thought he did as well as he could have, considering the offensive line did such a shit job blocking for him. Your quarterback can't get into rhythm when the front five aren't blocking long enough.
And it was bad when they weren't even like adding an extra person to blitz. It was just the front four were happy to blitz and they were getting through. Like 4 should not be getting through 5. They shouldn't. And it was like 3 were getting through completely.
Yeah.
And it's again, you're gonna have if you want good quarterback play, you got to protect the quarterback, and if you can't do that, then you're gonna have the games like Caleb just had.
Yeah, Caleb finished the game 14 for 29 for a whopping 93 yards. Should have had a touchdown to Keenan Allen again. Dropped right before halftime. Finishing out the ugly. Something that's like really going under the radar, and it's bothering me. Tyler Scott and Roschon Johnson. So originally, I thought Roschon Johnson, there was some type of health concern why he didn't play, but apparently he was a legit healthy scratch, and so was Tyler Scott. Why?
I don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't get
Tyler
it. Tyler
Scott looked phenomenal. I know it's
preseason
football.
Make it make sense, Jack.
Football, fun.
Well, how is Tyler Scott going to improve if he doesn't play? If you don't put him in the game? Like, why is Velus Jones? And we're gonna get to Velus in just a second here. Why is Velus Jones getting the nod and getting to play in the season opener, and Tyler Scott's not? Make it make sense.
He had a phenomenal preseason, but like you said, preseason football is a totally different ballgame. And I mean, the way I'm looking at it is our wide receivers that we had on the field are phenomenal. Maybe the mindset was if these 3 aren't doing it, is Tyler Scott really a difference maker? I don't know. Maybe there's just so many variables with it. Maybe it was just a case of he's not going to make a difference to this game. But Roschon Johnson, he was phenomenal last year, and I've always preferred him over Khalil Herbert. I think we should have traded Khalil Herbert last season, if I'm honest, and get as much value as possible because Roschon Johnson's a cheaper version. I don't get it. I don't understand, especially when the run game was as bad as it was for as long as it was. You've got a weapon there that can churn out yards, like hard, well-earned yards, and for him to just be sat on the side, just healthy scratch, like you said, no purpose in the game.
What was bizarre to me is Travis Homer got a couple carries as like what would be the, and it's not like Homer did a bad job. I'm not knocking Homer, but like Travis Homer didn't get like any carries last season. I mean, he's specifically a special teams guy. And he took Roschon Johnson's power back carry. Like to me, Roschon Johnson is a north-south A-B gap runner. Like that's why we have him for. Swift is not that guy for us. That's what Roschon Johnson should be. Khalil Herbert's kind of a hybrid. I feel like, I feel like he's leaning kind of more towards Swift being the elusive back, and Roschon Johnson is our power guy. It was just bizarre. Like I just thought it was bizarre.
Travis Homer is on this team because of his, I believe, is because of his relationship with Shane Waldron.
In
right?
Seattle.
Both came, he is pilfering touches from more, from better players. I just don't understand how he's even on the team. I think he stole a spot from someone.
Yeah.
Let's say Baskerville. I'll have Baskerville back on the team. You were phenomenal. Linebacker. Yeah, just put him on 53. Travis Homer can be a practice squad guy. I don't want to see him on the field again. That's my hot take. But
right.
It is what it is.
We've gone 20 minutes somehow without talking about Velus Jones. I don't know how, but
boy Velus.
Oh my God. It's been well known. I think I'm like on the Velus Jones defender island. I'm one of the few that have defended him.
Small inhabitants, yeah.
I think I found the ship to take me off the island yesterday because I'm done. I'm like legit. I'm legit done defending him. His time at kick returner, like it's come to an end, right? Like there is no more.
There's enough game tape.
There is no more putting number 12 back out of kick return. Right after the Titans scored their opening touchdown, Velus Jones gives them the ball essentially right back, and he sucked. Jack, this is the worst part, dude. He sucked the life out of Soldier Field.
Yes, he did.
Like any little roar of the crowd to get the Bears back into the game immediately died when Velus Jones muffed another kick return.
But
like it just can't happen, man. It cannot happen. And I think the thing that I hold on to most is Velus's speed and his explosion. But one thing that I think I need to put more into perspective is speed doesn't necessarily equate to like football IQ, which number 12 has none. Like, so it's just mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling.
You ready for this? I'm going to defend him. All right. And I didn't think I would, especially after yesterday. I was coming away from that like, I'm not defending this guy. In no way, shape, or form I am. And I am. It was the ugliest fumble I think I've ever seen in my entire life. The fact that you can give up the ball with a team that can't even set off from what yard line is it? 40-yard line, 50-yard line, whatever it is. They can't even move until you've touched the ball, and for you to fumble it that bad that they get it before you, that is a colossal fumble. That being said, don't put him back in punt return or kick return. He's not that guy. He can't catch a ball to save his life. However, I still see him being relevant in the run game. I really do. Yes, it was preseason football, but that explosion is there. Now, do you know what? Don't give Travis bloody Homer them bloody touches. Give Velus Jones those touches. Yeah. Don't put him on the special teams as a returner. Put him on special teams as a gunner. He has his place in this team. It is not as a returner. My God, he can't catch anything. It was bad, but don't give up on him.
The running back carries yesterday were all over the place. So DeAndre Swift had 10 carries for 30 yards. Velus had 2 carries for 11. Travis Homer, 2 carries for 10. Khalil Herbert, 2 for 4 yards. It's all over the place. Just all over the place. Let's not overreact to one game. I would like to see more out of an efficient Shane Waldron offense. I don't think we really got to really see what Shane Waldron can do with this offense and with all the guys that we have on that side of the ball. Again, just a bizarre game. I'm really trying to not overreact to what we saw, but like that was just such a Bears game, and again, that was a definition of a team win. The offense was just flat, and our other 2 units, defense and special teams, lifted that unit up and carried them to the finish line. And somehow, some way, We're 1-0. Although it doesn't feel like it to me. Like this is such a bizarre victory Monday, but it is hard to win in this league. No matter what, it is hard to win in this league. And I'm glad we did win because the Lions won last night in overtime, and the Vikings took care of business against the Giants.
And the Packers suck, baby. Bye, Jordan Love.
I didn't want to bring them up, and they played pretty well, and also Mr. Love looked pretty good. But we're not here to talk about Mr. Love.
No, we're not. We're not here to talk about him walking away. Is there anything
that you need to get off your chest about Caleb, about the offense, about where the team is at before we look ahead to Sunday night's game?
So, KB, Kevin Byard, is that you say his last name?
Kevin Byard.
Yeah, Byard. Yep. Not a lot of people saw it, and if they did, they were very lucky to see it. He was in the locker room giving the speech at the end and talking about team play, and I think you just kind of alluded to it just now. The offense didn't play today. The offense didn't play yesterday. They missed a beat. Special teams and defense stepped up. There are going to be days where the offense have a phenomenal game and the defense doesn't play to that ability. It's a team game. It's a team win. The good thing is I think we saw the Bears, not even ceiling. We saw the ability that the Bears defense has. They are top dog. I'm still adamant they are the best defense in the NFL right now. I am adamant. That is a very biased saying, actually. It is biased, but I do believe they are. That offense did terrible, but we saw their flaw. We saw the bottom that they are going to perform at.
Yeah.
And knowing that we can still churn out a win with an offense playing as bad as it is, how do you think this team's going to look when our offense can actually play? They are going to put it together. They will 100%. We are not going to be Bryce Young 2.0. We are not going to be the Carolina Panthers. We are going to put it together. The special teams look great. The defense is deep. It is deep. There is enough players. Next man up. We're going to look so good. We're so good. I am telling you, don't press the panic button. I am still sat on the Bears winning 12 games this season.
That's a lofty goal.
Don't press that button.
I'm not pressing the button, but I am concerned. I am concerned. And during the Matt Eberflus era, this team has gotten off to slow starts. It's troubling, and I think there's just too much talent on this roster to continue to go out and not put forth your best effort. And the Bears need to put forth their best effort this upcoming Sunday when they travel to Houston to take on the Texans. Bears open up at 6.5 point underdogs for Sunday Night Football. And we talked about the Titans defensive line. This Houston defensive line, not necessarily, in the AB gap. They have two guys. One of them, Mario Edwards, former Bear. So I'm not too worried about their nose tackles, but their defensive ends. You have Daniil Hunter coming over from Minnesota, and you got Will Anderson Jr. Bears offensive line, they need to step up because this is another good defensive line coming up, and
this is gonna be a great game.
I think the thing that needs to happen the most, we need to get the ground game going on Sunday.
Yep,
like we need to get number 4 going and churning and moving the ball. I think the only way the Bears make this a competitive game and come out with a win is if we keep the ball, we move the chains, and keep the ball out of Stroud's hands. I think, CJ Stroud to me is not Patrick Mahomes. He can be beat. There is tape out on CJ Stroud. Yes, he played well against the Colts yesterday, but he can be beat. Just don't give Houston the ball. Like, the Bears need to control the clock, keep it out of Houston's offensive hands. And I think the Bears have a shot here. I really do. Yep. I think people are going to massively overreact to what happened yesterday, and you're going to look to the Texans-Colts game and see, how that ended. People are going to overreact. I think it's going to be more competitive than people think. What do you say, Jack?
I think you brought up some great points, especially with the defense. I think the defense front 4 on that team is special. That they are going to be a challenge for our offense. Our offensive line, that is my major concern. It is the big concern. I think there's enough game tape there where the offensive line can look at it and say, okay, this is where we need to be. This is how we need to do this. This is how we protect Caleb. I think you're 100% right with that run game. If we get that run game going, it's going to open up them play actions. It's going to give Caleb enough of a window to actually start throwing some ball. I think the Bears cover. I think the Bears, you know me, I say the Bears win. The Bears win, baby. The Bears win. But I think it's going to be a closer game than people anticipate, especially after yesterday's game. Everyone's going to say the Bears aren't winning that.
Well, we're going to see how good
they're going to be fine.
We're going to see how good that Bears defense is because Stroud had 2 touchdowns, 2 of them to newcomer Stephon Diggs yesterday. Nico Collins had over 100 yards receiving, and Joe Mixon, another new Texan, 30 carries, 159 yards, and a touchdown. I mean, the Texans' offense they had a little bit of a game yesterday. So
that run game is not going to get going against our defense. I think our defense is top dogs. I'm saying take the under. Take the under.
I do think the Bears definitely have a top 5 unit right now, but
top 1. Oh, baby.
But what concerns me is how long they were on the field on Sunday. I mean, the Bears defense was on the field pretty much throughout like the entirety of the second quarter. Like that bothered me. Those guys were gassed, and you saw it.
They were gassed. But the second half was our better half from our defense. Yeah, they're gassed, but they are absolutely schooling people. If you are schooling a team on empty, top tier team, number 1 team in the world.
That second half shutout was pretty impressive. Can't ignore that. You can't ignore that. Again, Bare Necessities podcast. He's Jack Lomax. I'm John Presnowski. We're not overreacting. We're not hitting the panic button yet. I do think that Caleb Williams' best days are ahead. That is not going to define the Caleb Williams era. Weird Bears game, weird start of the season, but somehow, some way, our Bears are 1-0. And at the end of the day, we can sleep knowing that, it could have been worse. It could always be worse. It can always be worse.
Could have been shut out. Game 1, 17-0. Fucking hell.
I mean, can you imagine if that wasn't the Titans? Can you imagine if we opened up against a team just a little bit better than Tennessee? The Bears would not be 1-0 right now. So
I don't think you'd have seen me on the podcast.
Thank you, you disgusting mayo-eating son of a you-know-what.
Fraudulent.
All right, guys. Hopefully the Bears put together a more worthy performance this upcoming Sunday. We're going to have plenty of content and obviously so much more to talk about throughout the week. So, again, thank you, Jack, for coming on. I'm John Presnowski. Check us out on Spotify. Check us out on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. Please like, subscribe, follow. It all helps. Be good, be well, and don't forget to bear down.